Welcome to the fourth episode of the Say Less podcast. I'm Will Donzella, joined here tonight with my friends Mohammed Daffleseed and Zachary Fulcher. And we're going to be talking about a variety of topics tonight. We're going to be including Draymond Green's comments about the NBA's treatment of players. We're going to talk about 80's injury, how that's going to affect the Lakers, and just a few other things related to COVID and some all-star stuff. So let's get started. Let's first talk about 80's injury. How is this going to affect the Lakers? How has it affected the Lakers? Is he going to be out for the 4 weeks that they say?
Right. So he's supposed to be out for 4 weeks at least, at least a month. So this could be tough for the Lakers, to be honest. They're only going to have LeBron to lead them, as their all-star candidate. And I think if LeBron can get him through this, he boosts his MVP candidacy. I think that, if LeBron can go out and the Lakers can win the next couple of games, which is a tough schedule. I think they're playing like the Jazz, the Clippers, I think. No, not the Clippers. Dumbass. I think the Jazz. I think also they're playing the Heat right now at the time of this recording. They got the Wizards. Wizards have been hot. Blazers have been pretty decent with Dame, even without CJ. And then they got the Warriors too. So if they can keep winning games, and then, I think they can get out of this pretty easily. But it all depends on Brown and the bench play. Next man up mentality.
Looking at the schedule right now, currently losing to the Heat as we speak. Play the Wizards, Jazz, Blazers, Warriors, Suns, Kings.
Sort of just
yeah, but you didn't mention the Warriors and Blazers.
Yes, I did.
You did?
You mentioned the Blazers.
We'll have to check that tape later.
Check the tape. Roll the tape, bro.
We'll check the tape later.
But nonetheless, like you said, it is a tough schedule. All those teams have been playing decently good, especially the Wizards, who have been 4-game win streak lately with some, impressive wins. But some reason, how come they said it was a calf strain now? Because they had Okay, my bad. Okay, well, just
no. I was gonna say that was gonna be my main concern there.
Go ahead then, bro. You got it.
I don't have anything else to say. I'm a mute.
All right, I was gonna ask. So he had an MRI, and it said no structural damage to the Achilles tendon, but now they're saying he's gonna be out with 4 weeks with a calf strain. I'm not a doctor. I don't really know a lot of things about the Achilles tendon, so I don't know if the calves and the Achilles are like connected or anything. So, do you guys know anything about that?
I don't know. But I do know what happened with Kevin Durant.
On the leg.
Yeah, I was gonna mention Kevin Durant's thing.
Man, that thing is scary. That video.
Yeah.
Man. Yep. His whole injury. Yeah.
I mean, it was a calf strain for him. Then he comes back, and then he tries to put pressure on his calf, and he ends up blowing up his Achilles. So I guess they do kind of connect to each other.
Right.
Go ahead, Will.
Well, I was gonna say I was reading a quote from Anthony Davis today, and he says, "I think every other game I've wanted to play in, this is just a different circumstance. With it being an Achilles, if it were quad or a finger or anything like that, I wouldn't mind playing. But I just don't really want to play around with an Achilles. Today was the first day we were able to practice, get some run in with some guys to really test it out." He goes on, but he's saying Achilles. So I'm just like confused what it is, because this is reminiscent of Durant's injury. And we know what happened with him. Big guys with Achilles injuries, they don't mix well. They do not mix well. Durant's been a special case, really, with the Achilles injury.
Special guy.
Yeah, he's a really special guy. Carried the Warriors. But
we'll get into that later. We'll get into that later. I wouldn't say such blasphemy at this point in time in the podcast, but continue regardless.
I think he's like one of the only players other than was it Dominique Wilkins who has been able to come back and seemingly be like great. like a great player. He's at least an MVP candidate.
Right.
With an Achilles injury. Achilles injuries are detrimental to big men. Anthony Davis can't shoot like KD. So the reason I say this is because I would be worried as a fan of just basketball, and I like AD. He's from my hometown. He's from my home city. So like, I love him.
Yes,
He's
sir.
Chicago bound. Yep.
Yeah.
You know. So we all love him.
Even though he's a damn Packers fan for some reason, but
All
continue
right.
regardless.
I do.
Uh,
I just want him to succeed. So I'm worried that he's thinking this. He's saying Achilles stuff. They're saying calf strain. 4 to 6
Right.
weeks for a calf strain injury is very different than a potential Achilles injury. And we've seen what happened when players come back. Just a year or 2 years ago, bro. KD plays 12 minutes in a finals, and he doesn't do much. He literally just goes for a crossover, and that's it. And he's gone for a year.
Yep.
So I'm a little concerned about this.
I think it's his Achilles because remember during the finals how he kind of stepped on it bad, but he still ended up coming back.
Yeah, it says I'm looking at the ESPN story now. So the Lakers are being conservative. So instead of 2 to 3 weeks, they're making it 4 weeks, and they're gonna watch it. So it says after suffering a calf strain and aggravating the Achilles tendon in his right leg. So they said he would be unlikely to return to the lineup before the All-Star break. So probably after the All-Star break. We want to put this fully behind him and be conservative with it, just to make sure that it's fully healed before he's back. That's a quote from the Lakers head coach, Frank Vogel. Would be necessary for Davis to rehab and recover from the calf strain and tendinosis in his right Achilles, as well as ramp up in practices and workouts in order to return to game action. He's doing exactly what he needs to do to get himself back in the best health that he can be in, said LeBron James. He has an injury that he can't mess around with too much. Facts. And as an organization, as its teammates, as me, as his brother, he has our full support. So take his time as much as he needs. So I think he'll, unless they're doing really bad without him, I think he's going to take his time and recover, and he'll be back at full strength. But if the Lakers are really doing bad by some means when he's not on the floor, then God rest LeBron's MVP chances, and God rest the Lakers. It's going to be tough if they force AD back from a Achilles injury in the regular season. I don't know what that holds for the playoffs. Yikes!
Real quick before you say something, Mohammed, I just want to bring up that they should have they have the luxury, which is a bad word because it's not a luxury that Kevin Durant got hurt, but they have the luxury of seeing the Warriors' horrible management of Kevin Durant's
Okay,
injury.
he still wanted to come back anyway and play in the finals.
Well, I know.
That's not a reach.
If you're a training staff,
any player would want to come back and play in the finals, right?
Yeah. If you're a training staff, you say no. You have to put your foot down.
No, not if it's the finals and it's an all-star caliber player like Kevin Durant.
Personally,
he doesn't care, bro.
He may not care, but you got to be like, yo, your career could be ended.
He probably had a decision, and he chose to play. To be honest,
I'd put my foot down.
This man always defending the Warriors.
And also, yes,
I'm not defending the Warriors. I'm just
defending
the right take.
Or if you want to call it
here's the other thing. This isn't the playoffs. This isn't the finals. So if he does have an Achilles injury and they force him back, no, there's no excuse for that. It doesn't matter if he wanted to come back or whatever. You have to put your foot down as a training staff.
You guys think the short off season has played a part in this?
Especially for AD, yeah.
Yeah.
Because, Lakers are one of the big teams that voiced out, their issues with having a short off season. LeBron, of course. And I've seen Frank Vogel had comments about saying, a lot of players thought that Anthony Davis would be, affected by the 71-day off season. They knew. So they kind of said, they're saying that they knew this was going to happen. I'm not surprised, because he did mess it up during the finals and he ended up, still playing. So I don't know if they just taped it up and, gave him some pills and whatever, gave him some shots and whatever. So, maybe this is something he's been going, having an issue with since the finals, and starting to catch up to him.
Right. I think I also thought last year, with AD's injury history, that he would have trouble, adjusting to the playoffs and the long schedule. But obviously they had that long period of rest, so he came back to full strength. But
Yep.
this is always going to be a concern with AD, and now and getting older, LeBron, as durable as he is, and credit to him for staying durable and keeping his body as as 100% as possible. But there's always going to be this lingering doubt. But I don't know. It could be a factor in the future if if AD doesn't come back right and doesn't take care of it right. But it's a process, and the NBA know how to take care of this stuff. So I don't think it's serious.
I don't think it's serious. I hope the Lakers training staff does the right thing. I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, and we have a reputation of having training staff that doesn't really know how to take care of the players.
I can't think of any cases where that would prove true.
So, I don't know about the Lakers training staff.
Somewhere around the 2010 year.
Yeah, let's not get into it. Let's not get into it. We all know what I'm talking about. So, I don't really know the history of the Lakers training staff. So hopefully, they do the right thing. AD comes back fully healthy and ready to go for the playoffs. Make a push for back-to-back titles.
I do want to say though, his injury history is concerning to me. That's the underlying issue to me. No, I don't think he's had an Achilles injury.
Yeah.
But just like injuries in general, I expected him to get hurt. Like you said, Zach, last year, had they not had that off season, whatever you want to call rest period, I think AD would have gotten hurt at some point. Just historically, he does. He's just an injury-prone player, which I don't wish upon anybody, and I don't love that for him. But he is. That's just who he is. Now, the other side of this, how the Lakers play without him, they haven't looked good. They have not looked good. Now, let's go back 3 years. It's 2.5 years now, where LeBron was on the Lakers without AD. For those who love to use the argument that the Lakers were the 4th seed before LeBron got hurt, blah, 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 that year. When LeBron James played basketball for the Lakers that season, they were 31-32. And I'm pretty sure in the Western Conference, a losing record is not getting you into the playoffs.
No, sir.
So they wouldn't have made the playoffs that season, in my opinion, anyways, had LeBron played or not for the whole season. That's what you're looking at. Do they become that team? I don't think they would be to that extent because they have a lot more experience on this team with various players like Rondo. So they have much, much more experience, but you can already
Rondo's not on the team no more.
I'm sorry. What did
Schroeder.
Schroeder.
You said Rondo.
I said Rondo. I'm sorry. Schroeder. Yeah, but like Schroeder.
They're a little bit deeper this year.
Yeah, Schroeder's a good veteran. My apology. Yeah, but like they have good experience on the team. That can help them be a little bit better, but I have to say that they kind of look a little bit kind of like that team back 2 years ago without Anthony Davis.
I don't know. I think Harrell and Schroeder can step up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have some
unlike
more,
that young team, yeah.
Yeah, then they got Gasol, which if at the very least he's just a veteran player with experience that can help people win, like just teach people how to win.
Right.
Not that he has a ton of winning experience, but I don't know. I personally, I'm a little worried for Anthony Davis's career if this should be handled poorly. So I hope that it's not.
We forgot about Kuzma.
Really? Oh yeah,
Kuzma put in minutes today.
Kuzma's elite, right? And then
Kuzma actually led the team in points in this Heat Lakers matchup.
So far? Or is
it just ended. Lakers lost by 2 points.
They have Alex Caruso. I mean,
Alex Caruso put in 20 minutes and put up no points.
Oh.
Did he get any rebounds, steals, blocks?
He had 4 assists.
Okay, so he
had a triple single.
He wasn't just running around. That's what's up.
I had the same points as he did.
You had the same amount?
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's That's really good territory there for Mr.
0-2
Caruso.
now. That is tough.
Damn.
Yo.
Set
Sorry,
up.
It looked like you just fell off the screen, bro.
Set up. Last time that
my bad.
happened, the last episode, I thought he got mad during our debate, and I thought he threw his phone. I was like, damn.
Yeah, bro. Whatever.
Just throw my laptop. All right, so let's move on to our next topic. That's going to be players have been hesitant to take the coronavirus vaccine, and they just don't want to do it. So why is that? Is this good for the world, first of all, and should they want to take it?
Interesting.
Who wants to go first?
I think
I think
actually,
Zach wanted to.
I was gonna say, I think of like there's a study or something like that like 1/3 of the population does not want to take the vaccine,
Yeah, we're screwed.
which is a little bit scary. You know, we've been in this damn pandemic for so long. Like at least could entertain the possibility that it'd be a good option. But I think if some players come out and say, "Oh, well, I took it," and, if they voice their opinions and say
LeBron
about it and say that they're going to take it, they can come forth as leaders, and then the whole league will eventually take it. So, that's my opinion.
Well, like you said, there's only like 1/3 of the population doesn't want to take it.
It's still a lot.
Not good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot. Yeah. Personally, I had my questions about it, but like you said, I want to be in this pandemic any longer. It's been going on for too long, and the fact that they even made a vaccine in that short amount of time, I think I read like it takes about 4 to 5 years just to make a vaccine. The fact that they did in less than a year was kind of remarkable. But I was reading the ESPN article. I think Woj wrote it, and Adam Silver he kind of told GMs that they should have players advocate for the vaccine, especially African American players, just because the Black community and Latino community have been struck the hardest with COVID, apparently. So they think if LeBron, Kawhi, Paul George, Damian Lillard, guys like that, if they promote the vaccine through the league, then maybe communities like that have been hit with the pandemic, take it. I also read that they're gonna have about 70 million to 100 million vaccines ready by mid-March, late April. So it will be available to a lot of people. So they have athletes who we talked about in episodes before that influence a lot of people, especially young ones. If they have athletes, promoting the vaccine, they take it themselves and they show that to a lot of people through social media, then I think they will make a great impact, obviously.
So I do have quite a few thoughts on this. I do think they should be hopefully taking this for the exact reasons that you said, Mohammed and Zach. They can influence people, and first of all, 1/3 of the population not taking the vaccine, that's significant. That basically means
that's a big yike.
That means that it doesn't work. You need like 85% of the population to take it just for it to do its job. Just to put that in perspective. My number may be a little bit off, but it's somewhere in that range. So 1/3 of the population not taking it will seriously hurt us. We've been in this for a year, going on, or a little over a year, right? I just want to get back to life. And they have the power to make people be like, oh, okay, maybe this is a good thing. And for people that fear that it will make you sick, it can't. It's not possible. It can give you symptoms. It can't make you sick though, because of the way it's made. But the other issue is that, like you said, in the time frame that it's made, you can't just roll out medical stuff without it going through all the necessary trials and tests. That's just doesn't happen. Those tests are just done faster, and like one test will be done at the same time as another. That's how that works. So I would hope that players are gonna look at this stuff and be like, hey, we wanna play a full season. We wanna, have a season where this isn't an issue, right? Because we've talked about it on prior episodes, the Wizards, Sixers, the Heat.
They want the fans back too, right?
Yeah, you want the fans back, like that feeling, like Terry Rozier hitting his game winner tonight, the Anthony Edwards dunk the other night. Like, just imagine those plays
with fans.
with fans, and we could go on and on about that. So I hope that they would do this, and I think that it would be a good thing for the world. It'll step us in the right direction. I wanna bring up that Jason Tatum did say that he has, ever since he's had COVID, he hasn't felt like he can breathe as well, and he can't play as long. Now this was a side effect. This is what doctors said would happen. They've done trials and they found lasting effects. This is why on other discussions we've had where I was kind of surprised that like college athletes wanted to play so bad. I was like, why would you want to risk getting this and tarnishing your lungs forever and then tarnishing your chances to be a professional athlete? You're seeing that happen now with professional athletes that have had it. And that's just the beginning, right? He hasn't even had it for like, it hasn't been a year since he's had it. So that's showing you how fast those things happen.
Yeah.
So I really hope that their influence, when they start to get it, which I'm hoping will happen, then it'll influence the rest of our country to get it, and then we can start moving in the right direction. Hopefully, get back out to these games. I know I want to go to a Bulls game.
Yes, sir.
I need to see my team win.
Yes, sir.
So I want to see how the new team, the new organization, the new coach looks. See how it's all put together. See what they look like on the court in person. So, that's just my thoughts. I really hope that they take it. And I hope that as a result, people are like, okay, yeah, this is all right.
In the article, it says too that Adam Silver said that if players do get vaccinated, protocols for like testing and quarantining, do become more, not more, less, restrictive.
So, more lenient. Yeah.
Yeah. So it won't benefit, like we said last week about the whole Kevin Durant situation, things like that wouldn't happen anymore.
Or have less chance of happening. Taken out of the game.
Yeah, taken out of the game. Yep.
Yikes.
I mean, yeah. That's just a benefit to everybody, right? Like to every team in the league. And then you won't have all these games postponed. Like, I know Zach's been complaining about the Mavs having games postponed this week, which is not related to COVID, but stuff like that.
Fantasy matchup has been going terrible, bro. Down horrendous. We've been awful this week, man.
I imagine listening to Jack and Valley.
No Doncic. Oh my God, bro.
That's crazy, bro.
The Knob squad.
It's ruined me. No Doncic. No.
Depressed Knob squad.
Depressed Fulcher, bro. I mean,
depressed Fulcher.
I'm gonna lose to Jack, and it's gonna be toxic for the next week and a half.
Week and a half is generous, bro.
That's gonna be week for the next season.
This man's never gonna let it go ever. That man's gonna talk about it like the one shot he hit on you.
Oh my God!
It's gonna be the greatest highlight of his life, like the Y ball game.
Mouthed him, bro. Smacked him like a pancake. Just
the 26-point Y ball.
Bro, I can down. Yeah, that's just the fact that Jack hitting a shot over me is just.
I'm so dead.
Hilarious, I could dominate this man like I've had before, and then all of a sudden, bow.
For those who
whatever.
Yeah, for those who don't understand the perspective here, Zach is like 5 foot -4 inches, and then Jack's like 6'7", and he gets spanked by Zach every time they play. It's great. It's great content.
Great content. Fantastic.
Yeah, so let's move on to this next topic. Let's talk about Draymond Green's comments about the NBA, and we're gonna just play the clip real quick for you guys of what he said. So let's just.
Yes, sir.
Draymond.
To watch Andre Drummond before the game, sit on the sideline, then go to the back, and then come out in street clothes because a team is going to trade him is bullshit. Because when James Harden asked for a trade and essentially dogged it, I don't think there was no surprise or no, there's no one's going to fight back that James was dogging it his last days in Houston. But he was castrated for wanting to go to a different team, and everybody destroyed that man. And yet a team can come out and say, oh, we want to trade a guy, and then that guy is to go sit. And if he doesn't stay professional, then he's a cancer, and he's not good in someone's locker room, and he's the issue. And we've seen situations of Harrison Barnes getting pulled off the bench. DeMarcus Cousins finding out that he's traded in an interview after the All-Star game. And we continue to let this happen. But I got fined for stating my opinion of what I thought should happen with another player. But teams can come out and continue to say, oh, we're trading guys, we're not playing you. And yet we're to stay professional. At some point, as players, we need to be treated with the same respect and have the same rights that the team can have. Because as a player, you're the worst person in the world when you want a different situation. But a team can say they're trading you, and that man is to stay in shape. He is to stay professional. And if not, his career is on the line. At some point, this league has to protect the players from embarrassment like that. We talk all of this stuff about you can't do this, you can't say that publicly. If you say that publicly, you're fine. Anthony Davis got fined, I think, $100,000 or something like that for demanding a trade publicly. But you can say Andre Drummond is getting traded publicly, and we're looking to trade him publicly, and he's to stay professional and just deal with it. But then when Kyrie Irving say, oh, my mental health is off, everybody go crazy about that too. Do you not think that affects someone mentally? As much as we put into this game to be great.
That's facts. That's facts.
Draymond was on something, man. He was on to something.
He was spitting facts there.
Onto something.
Honestly.
That's not wrong. You want to go first, Zach?
Yeah, I'll go first. One thing off the gate that I think about is, I think there should be a double standard, and teams should be held, and there should be disrespect for the organizations. One thing comes to mind is how organizations treat players when they trade them away. Teams like I remember the Isaiah Thomas trade with the Celtics. They traded him away, and he was just shocked. And he had gave so much to that Celtics organization through only through 1 year. That crazy playoff run, that game after I think his sister died. Just going crazy. That whole playoff run, the whole regular season. He was an integrated part of that culture, and he was the face of that franchise at that point in time. And then they traded him away, and ultimately that's a good decision. But it's ultimately a business, and the fans should not disrespect players for trying to make their own decision, and the players should have their own culture, and they should have their own way about doing things if it's a business, and they should not get vilified or castrated, as Draymond said, for taking aspects or taking care of themselves.
Yeah,
you want to go next?
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I'll go. I agree with what Draymond said. I also I've listened to this a few times, and I just forgot for some reason about how I felt when I saw Harrison Barnes on the bench that day, like finding out he was traded. Because Harrison Barnes at that point had gone through quite a bit, right?
Yeah.
He was a valuable role player for the Warriors on their championship team.
Right.
And or was he on that team still when they won?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was.
He was
okay.
2016,
yeah.
2015.
But then he kind of fell off, and like he was thrown out the door. But like I just remember looking at his face and like just being like feeling terrible, like feeling really terrible for that man, because he just looked hurt. And I think that's what Draymond's getting at. Like, there has to be some level of respect where you treat, like, respect is literally treat others the way you want to be treated, right? So if you want a player to come and ask you for a trade instead of going public with it, you should do the same thing for them. Why is Anthony Davis getting fined whatever Draymond said, 100,000, which in itself is absurd, right? I mean,
Yep.
that's insane. I know it's pocket change for them, but honestly, really, $100,000 for being like, oh, I
No,
want to trade.
it's
I don't know if
ridiculous.
that
That's
number's
just
right, but
that's just blasphemy. Yeah.
yeah, but
It's blasphemous.
yeah.
It's blasphemous.
So that's absurd to me.
Right.
So when Anthony Davis says that, like, you don't treat other players with that respect, DeMar DeRozan, all the players like that. But one thing I do want to bring up is like LeBron James, when he made his decision to go to the Heat, right? He let the
Yeah.
world know where did he let them know?
On ESPN.
On ESPN, right? He didn't tell
Mhm.
Daniel Gilbert. Nobody in the Cavs knew. And that's how he told everybody. And he got shredded. I
Right.
mean, absolutely shredded. I was in Cleveland for that night. And I just remember all of my family members and everybody just getting so angry, trashing him. You know, why didn't you tell? Nobody knew this was coming, blah, 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 right?
Mhm.
Right.
So you shred LeBron James for that. The face of the NBA, mind you, the best player in the league to most people, and
Mhm.
probably has been for years and years, maybe even a decade, maybe longer, right?
Mhm.
And he gets treated that way, but a team can just be like, hey, by the way, you can't suit up for the second half because we just traded you, and you're not going to
Man.
play here anymore.
Right.
So that's what Draymond's getting at. He's got a point. He's right.
Yep.
Facts.
The double standard, man.
Yep.
It's crazy because if Andre Drummond, like Draymond said, if he said, "Hey, I want to request a trade," if he went up to the Cavs GM and then he says, "By the way, until you trade me, I'm gonna, not play. I'm gonna stay at home, with not taking a risk of injury. I'm gonna be completely healthy, no quarantining with my next team and all that other stuff." You get crucified for that.
Mhm.
But the Cavs do that to him because they said, "Oh, you know what? We're about to trade him, so we want him to be completely healthy, all the other stuff." He has to sit there and be professional about it. You can't complain, nothing like that. I think it's just absurd.
Mhm.
It's just dumb. James Harden over here doesn't like the situation in Houston. They trade away Russ for John Wall. Apparently, they didn't impress Harden enough, and he requested a trade, and everybody was criticizing him.
Right.
Like, then again, they do have contracts, so another perspective of this situation is just like, they're employees and they have a boss. And sometimes, people that want to be a boss, they would say
Right.
something like this, like what Draymond said. I know I was watching Speak for Yourself on Fox Sports and they were talking about that. Don't really know the whole situation, but I know they're having conversation about employee and bosses and stuff. But in the end, I think there is a double standard. I don't really know how they would fix it. Maybe, I don't know, because the league nowadays, it's a players' league now. The NFL is still, organization league, but I think the NBA is the biggest player league in the world right now.
Yep.
So if, I don't know, I guess the only change they would have is just the fines, the whole tampering fines that they do. Just Draymond Green made comments about Devin Booker and said, he needs to get out of Phoenix. That's not a good situation for him when he was on TNT.
Yeah.
He got fined $50K for that.
That's the one. I think that's the one he was referencing when he said that player. Yeah, and then,
that player.
He's trying to get him to come to Golden State.
And I remember, I don't know if you guys remember this. I think Doc Rivers made a good comment about, I forgot what player it was. It was last season when he was coaching the Clippers, and he got fined just same amount as Draymond, just for commenting about how good a player was. He didn't even say anything about,
it was PG,
we need that player.
Yeah, it was Paul George.
No, it was a player that wasn't on his team.
Oh, right. Oh, Doc Rivers, right.
Yeah, it was Doc Rivers. I forgot who the player was, but he just legit complimented the player, and he got fined by the league.
Right.
Because it was tampering. But like I said, if a coach and player gets fined for doing that, not even on the court, not something associated with NBA. I guess, yeah, TNT and stuff like that, but television. But what if Dan Gilbert came out and made a statement and said, I think Darren Fox is a really good player. I wish he was on the Pelicans. They wouldn't find Dan Gilbert for that. Why? Because maybe because he's a GM and it's his job to, scout players, I guess, to make his team better.
Right. That's
BS. When the players franchise players in all sports always have some type of say before decisions.
Right.
Maybe not most of them, some of them, but a lot of them do. So
a lot of them should, yeah.
So what's the difference between Doc Rivers or Draymond Green saying complimenting another player, saying, "Hey, his situation, whatever, is not a good situation he's in right now."
Right. If an organization constantly and just disrespects over and over, disrespects over and over a player, over and over disrespects a player, then they should have the right to leave and make a business decision for him. And I had a tough time getting that one out, but
yeah.
But reminds me of the whole Deshaun Watson, DeAndre Hopkins stuff. They didn't consult him at all about it. They didn't include him in any business decisions. Like he should have that right to request a trade. And some people take offense to that. And you're like, suck it up, be a man. Play the team anyway. It's a business. But if it's a business, they should be able to get out. If the organization is bad as hell, like Dan Gilbert and the damn Cavs, and they were asked that whole time with LeBron in the first thing, and then they ripped him for leaving. Dan Gilbert put like a whole PR statement about how bad LeBron is. Oh, you never did anything for this team. Stay with us, yada yada yada.
He didn't do anything. He didn't get us to finals.
All right, maybe you should have had some people out there besides Big Z helping him out, Mr. Dan Gilbert. But whatever.
He didn't play with a whole bunch of 70 overall players in 2K.
Banter club, banter organization, trash.
I want to talk about their freedoms though, like and their rights to do something. So I think players should be able to do what's best in their best interest, because I understand the contracts and everything. I signed a 5-year contract. I'm committed to you. Paul George signed it with OKC, right? 4 years, 5, I can't remember.
4 years.
But within 1 year, he's like, I got to dip. Things happen.
Yeah.
Things happen, right?
Right.
And you have to do what's best for your interest in that moment, because you can't trust anybody else to do it, because teams have shown that they won't. And it's a business. You have to remember that. I'm going to be a Colin Coward here for a moment, and Zach's going to hate this. But
that's the guy.
Yeah, I'm going to make a metaphor. I'm going to make a metaphor.
Analogy?
Here.
He's got
analogy.
Yeah.
I had a job a little bit ago, and I was going to go into a bad situation really quick, and I had to make that decision to get out of it.
Right.
There or be stuck contractually like an NBA player for two years with my whatever. And that I had to choose to do what was best for me right there, because nobody else will. So these players have to be given that option too. They have to be able to just be like, hey, this isn't working out. James Harden gave everything to Houston. I mean, he gave everything. Even if he hadn't, though, he sees a bad situation. He just wants out. People want change. It happens. Like the presidents, we change presidents every 4 or 8 years. In government, democracy. Yeah. Ooh.
Democracy.
But like it happens, and I don't understand this notion. Like when fans get mad as well, like it's not your life. You're not living that life. And I know we're all suspect of doing it. Like if I was a Warriors fan for some reason, and I was like, let's just say a huge Steph Curry fan, I don't know. And then Steph Curry was like, hey, I want to dip out and I want to get out of here. I would be pretty upset. But you have to try and put that aside to be like, hey, this is their life. I understand that maybe there's something going on. So that's just my 2 cents on it. I think players should be able to do what they want, what's best for them, because you can't trust anybody else to do it. And you can get stuck in a bad situation like that.
Right.
So
or you can just get swept away like DeRozan did with the Raptors, man.
Oh, that's
and
exactly.
They swept them away too, yeah.
You stay loyal, and then they just dip you out as soon as
blink of an eye.
Yeah, as soon as they were like, oh, well, you're not good enough for us anymore. You don't fit our vision. Whatever. So yeah, I think it's their freedom.
Yep.
But let's move on. Let's move on to this topic. This is a good topic. I love this. How much should team success be taken into account for individual awards? So like the MVP race.
Okay.
Bro, grunting
Mohammed?
hard for no reason.
All
No,
right.
Zach seems excited about this. So
Oh.
go ahead, bro.
Hold up.
I just wanted to say a bold take real quick. As of right now, I'm changing my MVP stance this year.
Yikes.
Already bailing.
Mr. Steph Curry for MVP. He's doing numbers right now for the Warriors, man, putting up similar stats to his amazing days.
Let me just look up the standings in the West real quick, just because we're gonna be on topic.
That's gonna be right on topic with what I say, Mohammed.
Right on topic.
I think that team success does play a part in the MVP race, but I don't think it should be as much of a factor as it is now.
Do you want to go, Mohammed, after him?
Case in point, I think, if a team is doing well and is at the top of the standings, I think a player gets less valuable, or if they have more depth around him, the player gets less valuable. So I think if most valuable player should be someone that is taking a good team, taking a bad team more so to say, to a playoff spot or to contending for championships or so on. So that's my 2 cents on the MVP and how standings should take into account in team success. I think it should be somewhat, you can't be on a terrible team and win the MVP, but if you're doing crazy numbers, go ahead and do it.
Matter of fact.
Go ahead. I see. I'm gonna get lit up here. I can tell it's 2-on-1.
You done, bro?
I'm done.
You sure you don't want us to go out any other award?
I'm
MVP?
I'm have to rebuke all the blasphemy you're about to say and the.
I have no blasphemy. I have evidence.
So Zach, let me get it right. So you think just because
I will say this. If it would be to change, it is a little bit of a knock, and it is a little kind of unfair to players that have won MVP in the past, because there's arguments that other players could have won if the standings wouldn't have been taken into account. So there is that, and it's a little bit tough to change. But Steph Curry doing some pretty nice work here.
So you're saying just because someone put up big numbers, and their team would be let's say a 14th seed instead of the 7th seed, you think that makes a strong case?
What do you mean?
So let's just say so the Warriors are the 9th seed right now in the West.
Right.
So without Steph Curry, they'll probably be the 14th. It would probably be worse than Oklahoma.
Without Steph Curry, they were the last team in the West.
Okay. So make the jump from the last team last season to, let's say, they finish
competing for
the 7th seed or the 8th seed. So would you? Damn. My bad.
Damn.
All right. So back to our saying. So where'd you put Curry in the rankings if the Warriors finish, let's say, the 8th seed this year in MVP rankings?
8th seed? Well, 8th seed.
Yeah.
8th seed would be tough to make him the MVP, to be honest. But if they're
what seed?
If he takes him to the playoff, if they're the 8th seed, if he takes him to the playoffs, it makes it like the 7th or 6th seed or the 5th seed. Oh, no doubt in my mind, he's the MVP. No doubt in my mind.
He's MVP
because they were so bad last year, and the only change. I mean, they get Wiseman now, but he's been out most recently, and the veterans fill in. But the biggest change has been they get Curry back. The biggest change is they get Oubre. I mean, they get Steph.
Even you admit it was Oubre.
No. They had Wiggins last year too.
Okay.
They had players off the bench too, but they had Draymond as well. But they were so bad last year, and Steph Curry is taken. And I remember a lot of people saying before the beginning of the season, some of the people in this podcast, if I'm correct, saying the Warriors are not a playoff team, not built for the playoffs.
I think I
here
might have
they
said
are.
that, and
Yet here they are
clearly they're the ninth seed. So
competing, and a lot of people questioning Steph Curry's legacy, and if he can't take these teams to the playoffs, then he shouldn't be. He's not one of the greats, but here he is going off, putting up crazy numbers,
sounds
and
like
leading them to
someone's
the
hurt.
and
Someone's
putting them
hurt
in the
about.
playoffs.
I can't wait for.
Look, Zach, your
I'm
love
not
for Steph
hurt.
Curry.
I'm not hurt.
Your love for Steph Curry is probably exceeds my love for Derrick Rose. I never thought someone would actually accomplish that.
Wow.
And my love for KD and Giannis.
So the 76ers are currently the 1 seed right now. 1 seed.
Who did
Last year
pick for MVP?
Who'd you pick?
I think it was Embiid, but
Embiid.
It wouldn't make sense as a 1 seed. Never mind. Sorry.
So last year the 76ers were the 6th seed in the East, 43-30. Now let's just So I mean the league was put to a halt. So let me go there year before, 51-31, but that was with Jimmy Butler. So I won't really take that into account. So let's go a couple years back, 4 years ago.
Oh God, the Sixers were terrible. You can't go too far back, bro.
We're going 4 years ago about the MVP debate.
No, I'm just saying, just improvement. Because you said about the Warriors being the last seed last year.
The Warriors have been significantly improved since last year.
14-9.
Look, Zach, I admit you make a good point, but I just think Embiid has a stronger case right now.
Okay.
I
will admit.
The thing is though,
that 50-point, 17 rebound game the other night.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, Steph's had games like that though.
I know, but he
look. If I admit it, if Curry gets the Warriors to, let's say, the 5th seed, that's where the Trailblazers are.
Right.
Or the 4th seed, that's where the Phoenix Suns are.
Mm-hmm.
The gap between those teams and the Warriors, I say, is pretty significant, just because they have a better quality, and the Warriors bench is atrocious. So we can't really speak on that. 6th seed is the Spurs. I say that's the Warriors level. So if Curry gets them 4th to 5th seed, I think he makes a top 2 strong case.
Bro, are you okay? Like,
dude,
all this Curry talk, I'm getting mad. No,
but
the universe is flipping. He's talking nice about Curry.
It's just the narrative, because the media is the one that votes for the MVP, and I think just the narrative, the whole top 1 seed and all that stuff. And if you're the number 1 seed and B's putting up career numbers, I think if they just keep it up, he'd probably be MVP. Because the 2nd seed is the Nets, and God knows nobody's gonna pick any player on the Nets to be MVP. The 1st seed is the Jazz. Nobody in the Jazz is making a case for MVP. 2nd seed in the West are the Clippers now, and I guess Kawhi would make a case, but
I would say PG more so. Well, he got hurt, so
yeah, he's been getting injured. So I think it's between Embiid and Jokic and Curry.
LeBron.
Okay, here before I go,
LeBron should be over Jokic. Come on.
Can I ask something though before I give my take here?
Right.
Jokic is putting up way better numbers. Well, not way better numbers than Curry, but better numbers than Curry, and he's doing it as a big man. So let's say they finish with a similar record as the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
Do you value him? Do you have him as an MVP candidate over Curry, Zach? I'm asking you personally.
No.
Is it because they have Murray?
No, because I think the results of how they were, I think history does prove a point. So I think, without Curry, they're obviously way worse. So I think if he's the MVP, if he steps up and, leads this team to the playoffs, significantly, then this team is not built around, making it to the playoffs. But if they do, I think he's very valuable, because you can take him away and then suddenly their whole offense goes away. Whereas, with Jokic, they still have Murray. They still can do decent stuff if they lean on Murray, So Jokic
Murray's been underperforming this year. So
recently he's literally last two
I mean, if
games.
Jokic was
recently.
Yeah,
going,
but
and if Jokic
overall
was
this
going,
season,
Yeah.
if Jokic, what's Jokic? I mean,
Jokic has been unbelievable.
Jokic
Unbelievable.
is averaging 27, 11, and 8 right now.
He would be my MVP pick if they had a better record, which
yeah, that's fair.
Mohammed, can I go? You got any
Yeah,
more?
go ahead.
All right,
No, I'm good.
so why Jokic would be my MVP pick if they had a higher seed would be because I do believe seeding matters, and I have literal historical data to support this. Now I know you pointed out how maybe it shouldn't matter as much nowadays, but history says it does. The only player ever to win it, well, since 1985, because before 1985, the MVP voting was everything was very different, right? So, but even if you go before that, there have only been 3 players to win it outside of the 2 seed, whether your team wasn't the first or the second seed. Russell Westbrook was the 6th seed, not 7th. I think we went over that last week. 6th seed, triple double, first person to do so since Oscar Robinson, right? I kind of understand it. I personally didn't think he deserved it, just because
Same.
I do value that you need to be a higher seed, and I'll explain that in a second. Then Karl Malone was the 3rd seed. Forget the year. 19. Let me just make sure I get it right. So I have it. 3rd seed in 1999. So that was the year of the lockout. So right after MJ retired, and then Moses Malone before 1985, they were the 6th seed. So it's pretty much unheard of. If you're not a top 2 seed,
right,
it pretty much doesn't happen. I know Jordan won it as a 2nd seed one year when they were tied as the 3rd seed. So you're talking about elite players. And I'm not saying Curry isn't elite, but I value winning that much. And the reason is, if you're the most valuable player in the league, to me, that means you're leading your team to wins. And that will show in your record, right? Obviously. So if you're the most valuable, it should directly correlate to winning. That's just how I value it. Especially the MVP award. So I think if you can't lead your team to wins, you're not really considered. Now, that being said, I have listed Jokic and Embiid as kind of my top 2, really. If the Nuggets can get up, the last center to win the award was Shaq in 2000. So
unanimous.
Unless you want Tim Duncan, Kevin Garnett, Dirk Nowitzki, they're not technically centers, so I'm not including them. But if you want to go by strictly center, the last one was 21 years ago. So I would say the odds are not in their favor, not at all.
I think Embiid. I mean, this man is averaging 30 points a game, 11 rebounds, 3 assists. He's shooting 54% from the field, 40% from 3 as a center.
He's almost averaging 50, 40, 90,
40, 90,
to be unheard of.
And his free throw percentage is 85. So I think
get it up to 90,
numbers-wise, he has.
That would be nuts. He gets my MVP vote if he goes up to 90% free throw shooting, bro.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
That'd be insane. And they're number 1 seed, so I think he's a clear favorite right now, just because he's doing this as a center.
He is balling out, man. I can't lie. It's a good pick.
Like I said, Zach, I agree with Will. Team wins do take effect for me personally a lot. I think a good example is I advocate for Kobe to win those MVPs over Steve Nash, but he was a 7th seed. I think one year, and then the year after that, he was a 6th seed. But he was averaging 35 points a game. And without Kobe, that team is definitely not making the playoffs at all. They're probably been the worst team in NBA. So
I will also say this. I do think 2008 Dwayne Wade got snubbed. I think they were the 1 seed that year, and LeBron won it.
2008, that was Kobe. Kobe actually won it that year.
I know Wade 1 year had the best record.
It was 09. It was 09.
Yeah, 09. Yeah.
I want to say, Zach,
Dwayne Wade should have one, bro. They were the best team that year.
I don't disagree. I want to say I understand. So first of all, it is by the media, right? So this whole system is pretty flawed in itself.
It's all narratives, bro. I'm telling you,
it is. I will say that what I can give you is that Curry doesn't have another probably doesn't even have another all-star. He doesn't have another all-star
does
on the
not,
team.
no.
The team is like, honestly, I predicted the Warriors to not make the playoffs this year because I look at that roster. I'm like, this team is horrible. Like, outside of Stephen Curry, this team is terrible. You've seen Oubre has one great game every 10 games or whatever. Wiggins has just not been great. I'm not saying they can't make the playoffs. So I'm just trying to like say I understand what you're saying. Like this, I agree. The Warriors are awful without Steph Curry. Like they're atrocious in
Right.
my opinion.
Mhm.
And so I would give them that edge in that sense because the people I listed, Jokic has Jamal, LeBron has AD, assuming he plays, the rest of the year. Tobias Harris with Embiid and Ben Simmons, right? Who else would you even put? Kawhi, PG, they're together. I don't think you'd put anybody from the Jazz. Kevin Durant, James Harden, Kyrie Irving, obviously. So that is Steph Curry's strongest argument, in my opinion,
Yeah.
is that, hey, I have nothing. Like it's like we talked about with Harden last week, how an entire defense can key in on Steph Curry because who else? Who else is there on that team to score like religiously? No one. So
Right.
I'll give you that. I just if you're most valuable, in my opinion, you're gonna find a way to make your team win. That's at the end of the day. I don't want to hear excuses. I want to see the results. That's how it is for me.
But
Well, if the Warriors finish the fifth seed, where would you put Curry in your MVP rankings?
It's hard to say. It depends how the other guys pan out. But I would, first of all, if the Nuggets are ahead of them, I don't care. I'm not putting Curry above Jokic. I don't care. That's just my opinion. I just don't. Well, that's not fair. If Jokic keeps this up, because if he doesn't, I'm assuming that all players keep up, their level of play, right? So
Yeah.
I would still probably put Embiid first if they're the first seed. I don't see a way around giving it to him with the stats he's putting up and the team record. But I would give Curry. I mean, I give him a shot. I just value winning that much. That's just me personally.
right.
For me, I think LeBron is going to slip out. I think he'll still be a top 6, whatever. I think he'll slip out though, just because I don't think the Lakers. I think they'll still be maybe the 3rd seed, but I think the Jazz and Clippers will win more games while Anthony Davis is sitting out. So I say Embiid is number 1 right now. I know Dame Lillard popped up in NBA's top 3 this week. I put him up there just because they're playing
Without
really good without CJ. Yeah. So Embiid, Dame, I say LeBron's 3. But end of the season, I think it'll be Embiid, Jokic, Dame, then Curry, and then LeBron. I think that'd be the top 5.
Wow.
We'll see how it pans out. If they keep winning,
That
though,
is if the
consider it.
76ers is the number 1 seed and maybe the Nuggets are top 3 seed.
Yeah,
so
see,
far.
I'll be more on Curry's train if the Sixers don't get the number 1 or the 2 seed somehow, because their team is it's too talented. I mean, Tobias Harris, Ben Simmons, Joel Embiid, right there. I mean, I've got 3 great players. Obviously, the Nets are. I don't think the Nets they're probably playing like LeBron typically plays. They don't really care about the regular season, I would guess. They just want to stay in the float to be a good enough seed to, to have home court, right?
Yeah.
So I will say if those teams are not up there, then Curry in my book is valued much, much more because I don't see an excuse for them. I do see an excuse for Curry, although I don't believe in excuses. I can understand if that team can't make the playoffs as I predicted. But we do have to move on to our next topic. We got one more topic. We're going to run a little overtime. Thanks for bearing with us, but this is going to be a great topic. This is going to be a great debate for us. I've been looking forward to this one all night. Who has had more help, LeBron James or Kevin Durant? Zach, go ahead. Go ahead.
Let Mo go first. I want to hear what Mo has to say first.
Well, I found this graphic just because obviously I had to do my research. Durant's best teammates, LeBron's best teammates. For Durant has Curry, obviously, Westbrook, Thompson, Draymond, Kyrie, Ibaka, and James Harden. Overall aspect, I'd say that's pretty good. If you want to talk about what type of player, Harden was during the OKC era, then the Rockets era, and obviously the Brooklyn era.
I'll
so
talk
you have to
about
take
that.
taking account in that.
I got you.
Yeah.
But those are Durant's best teammates. LeBron's is obviously D Wade, Anthony Davis, Kyrie, Chris Bosh, Kevin Love, Ray Allen, and Big Z, like
This
Zach
is
said.
Ilgauskas. Wait. Okay, yeah.
I don't really know the answer to this question, dude. Like, I mean, Durant he won 2 rings with his big team with the Warriors, and then he didn't win with the Thunder. But they were too young. 2012, and then 2013 Westbrook gets injured. 2013 Durant gets injured. 2014 Westbrook gets injured. 2015 I think Durant gets injured again. And obviously 2016 the infamous 3-1 lead, whatever, and then after that, boom, it's gone. It break up. So my answer, I think it's pretty even. I think it just whatever you're biased to, whatever agenda you have.
It's all
like
bias.
Some people, it's all agenda and bias. So
I do want to.
If I had to pick, I say Durant low-key has had more. I say top wise. In the top, he's had better quality players.
Can I just say before
just
you go,
because
Zach,
of his career with Brooklyn right now?
I
Depending on what they do.
want to say before you go, Zach, that I did see a graphic that Durant and LeBron have had the best teams of any players ever.
Yep.
Like,
that's
just
facts.
in terms of talent, which I thought was hilarious. I was like, dang, dude, they really just load up teams nowadays, huh?
Yep.
But go on, Zach. Sorry.
What's your pick?
So my pick is going to be LeBron, and I have a reasoning for that. I went through and I counted how many All-Star players they played with. So I'm not counting Ray Allen, who was an All-Star, right? At some point, he wasn't an All-Star when he played with LeBron, so I'm not counting that. It's 16 players that he played with that were an All-Star. Now when I found this, they were comparing it to MJ, and when you compare it to MJ, it's not even close. Like, MJ didn't have. It's just not even a debate. So this is me assuming that, or including that, Anthony Davis is an All-Star this year, right? He won't play in the All-Star game, but he would be an All-Star, right? Durant has played with 13. If you include the years where he or Westbrook didn't play, then it would just be 10, right? 10 All-Stars.
Right.
And that's also including James Harden and Kyrie this year. I did not include Kyrie Irving last year because Durant didn't play, right? So I didn't include the years that players are injured. LeBron's had the luxury of never being hurt, ever.
Right.
So when I look at that's just one aspect of it that I look at. The other aspect is when they played with them. When KD first played with James Harden, that was not a great player. James Harden was good. I was a huge fan of that team. I remember he was not great. He was a good player, great 6-man, don't get me wrong. Westbrook, same thing. These were not mature players. LeBron played with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in their primes. These were peak players. I guess you can make an argument Dwayne Wade wasn't. No, he was in his prime at the start of it. He definitely
first 2 seasons.
He was definitely.
Right, yeah.
He did. It wasn't like best version of Dwayne Wade, because best version of Dwayne Wade probably would be without LeBron when the team was more his own. So so right there, LeBron played with players that were in their primes. So
did Kevin Durant.
Yes, he didn't though in OKC. In OKC, at the end for Westbrook, he did,
right?
But definitely not in the first part,
right?
And then certainly in Golden State, he played with the prime Klay Thompson and Steph Curry. This year, it remains to be seen. So I almost don't even count this year for either of them. So and that because the season is 20 something games in, we don't really know. So that's just how I view that. So I think LeBron has had the luxury of playing with great leaders. Like Dwayne Wade is disgustingly underrated as a player to me. I know that we all probably have Steph Curry over him as a player, but I don't know if Steph Curry is a better leader than Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade was a great leader. He showed LeBron James how to win. He taught him how to win, taught him how to be a great player, how to be a clutch player. Durant never needed any of that. He didn't need all that stuff. He didn't need to be taught how to be a winner or to be
He needed
clutch.
to join a 73-9 team to win a ring. I know that much.
So I could go into the details of that and how the team was totally different when Durant got there, and everybody was saying, oh, they gave up way too much to get him, which we know happened, but anyways, Durant did join a great team, and I will say the Warriors team probably better than any team LeBron's had. Yeah.
Ever.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it depends easily, how you value Draymond Green, because everybody likes to list him as a clear-cut Hall of Famer, but he was not great after 2016.
He was an All-Star though. He was an All-Star.
Yes, and he just wasn't great. After 2016, like that was his peak year, and then ever since then he's gone down statistically. But I just value that Miami Heat team so strongly, and then the fact that he goes, jump ship to Cleveland, and you get Kyrie Irving and Kevin Love. Kevin Love, everybody forgets how good Kevin Love was. Everyone forgets it because that man was a 25 and 14 man in OKC in Minnesota, right? Everybody forgets that. And as soon as he came to play with LeBron, he became a spot up shooter. That happens. I get it. But everybody forgets how good he is, and they like to diminish his value. Now he's playing with AD. Obviously, AD, top 5 player in the NBA, most people say. So there you go. So I just value that especially the leadership that LeBron's had the luxury of playing with under Dwayne Wade, and the growth he had, the maturity. I just value that more.
I personally, I value. I think. It's pretty obvious. I think
you. Let me guess. You probably value Steph Curry more.
I think Kevin Durant has had more help in his career than LeBron James has. I think you have to take into account what those teams were like. Obviously, you have the Wade, Bosh, Kyrie, Love, Anthony Davis, and for KD you have Steph, Clay, and now Kyrie, Harden, and Harden and Westbrook. They weren't good. You also have Draymond Green. There's an argument there, but I think you have to take into account how good these teams are without Durant and LeBron. And without LeBron, all those Cavs teams are terrible, bro. Are god awful. They're not.
With Kyrie and Love.
Kyrie and Love, sure. I mean, Kyrie and Love.
Well, I'm talking about their All-Star team. I see what you're saying, but I'm talking about with
the first tenure with Cleveland.
Oh yeah,
they took multiple teams to the finals with no help.
Yeah.
And those teams were terrible. They declined very quickly after he left.
Yes. I'll speak on that.
Right. With Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant. When Kevin Durant. Yeah. Okay. Hold on.
Sorry to interrupt, but you said those teams without the players. The only example you could have is the Warriors without Durant, because obviously they still had the core without.
You can have
Durant.
You can have right.
You also don't know LeBron, how bad the Thunder were. Without Durant when they first got
the Thunder still.
No, I'm talking about when Durant was first there, because you were talking about the Cavs when LeBron was first there. But Durant on the Thunder those first years, they were horrible.
Right.
Horrible.
But after Durant left, those teams were still playoff teams, and after LeBron left, those teams were certified not playoff teams.
LeBron left the team without another All-Star.
There were two different teams, though.
Yeah.
The Warriors,
Thunder 2016, still had Westbrook.
The 2016 Warriors still had the same core when Durant joined them in 2017.
Right.
After LeBron left the Heat.
No, I'm saying after LeBron left the Cavs.
He's talking about the first time he left the Cavs.
The first time he left the Cavs. He took multiple Cavs teams to the finals, and those finals Cavs teams in the playoff, he took multiple to the playoffs, and after they lost the Celtics a couple times, those Cleveland Cavaliers teams drastically fell off.
That's true. You're right.
I also have to take into account that Kevin Durant left a good 55-27 team with the Thunder, who most people thought they're up 3-1. They should have won. They should have won the finals. Most people thought at that point when they were up 3-1, they were the best team in the whole playoffs. He left that team that he had help on that team. They were remember one that they were in the Western Conference Finals. He left that team to join a 73-9 team that was one game away from winning the NBA Finals. So I
the
think,
second year.
right. I think you have to take that into account. I think KD has more help just because, he left that team who was one game away from going to the finals and they still were a playoff team, like well after he left, and he
All right,
left and
well,
went to the Warriors. So I think you have to take into account.
we all know.
All right.
No, go ahead and finish.
And I also do think that LeBron elevated those Miami Heat teams. I think I think he elevated Wade. I think he elevated Bosh. I think he elevated
You're
those
gonna
whole
say
teams.
Durant didn't elevate? Oh my God.
He did. Durant did elevate, but he relied more on Steph and Clay and his players than
There we
LeBron
go.
relied
There's
on Wade
the
and Bosh.
Steph
It was
Curry
fine
name
until
drop.
you said that. Once you said that,
Steph
it just.
Curry name drop finally happened, man.
All
I was
right.
waiting for that.
Mohammed, you got something to say? Because I got a lot to say if you don't.
I'm just saying.
I just
Steph
think
Curry
okay.
also 2-time MVP winner. No MVPs on the Miami Heat side. I'm also saying that.
All right.
I'm talking about every team, but
all right. Well, since Zach is done talking, then he, finally showed up, with his Steph Curry bias argument. I want to say this: Durant has, in terms of big threes, Durant has had 3 different big threes, and all the teams you just talked about.
Right.
So that's why I think. Look, if you want to talk about,
are you including Ibaka in a big 3?
I'm talking about the Harden. Westbrook.
Are you talking about Harden right now?
Talking about Harden, Westbrook, and.
Or wait,
KD
are you including
Thunder.
Harden in a big 3 on OKC the first time?
Okay, the 2012 team did make the finals.
Okay.
And Harden was the sixth man.
He
was the sixth man of the year. I wouldn't say they were big 3, but they were the core of that team. So I say core-wise, I'm looking at core-wise, Durant has had better teams. Just because he made the big 3 in Brooklyn now.
Okay.
Just because of that. That's what gave him the edge for me. If you want to talk about role players, I say LeBron has had the better quality in terms of qualities, minus the first stint in Cleveland. After that, I think LeBron's quality with 6-man and bench players and all that stuff, I think LeBron has had better teammates. But in the end, I think the core players, big 3, whatever you want to call it, I think that's the difference between that.
All right.
I also want to say I think Durant needed Curry more than LeBron needed Wade.
Oh no!
Get out of here,
Please
bro.
stop.
Get out of here, bro. Stop it, dude.
I do think Durant needed Curry.
Why do you say this
Curry
stuff?
more than LeBron needed Wade.
It was respectable until that. I got so much to say. First of all, the Thunder were
I do
terrible.
think Durant needed Curry more than Curry needed Durant.
Terrible. The Thunder
were
horrible when Durant was first there.
So
terrible.
What? Okay, what?
But you keep bringing up how LeBron brought those teams somewhere. And they were terrible.
Yes.
Without Durant, those teams were awful.
Right, but
awful.
once the Durant
LeBron
and LeBron both left those respective teams,
LeBron didn't.
Thunder were left as a playoff team,
Durant.
and the Cavs were not.
Yes. Okay. If Durant had waited as long as LeBron for no other All-Star to be on the team,
he wouldn't have carried them because he needs more help.
No. I actually agree with that. But that's mostly because I think LeBron becomes a system. So that I wanted to speak on that because we talked about this in previous episodes where LeBron becomes a system. He just does. If you don't see that as a basketball fan, and so many people don't, you're blind. He becomes a system. This is why teams suck without him. You see all-stars looking like they don't know how to play basketball. Kevin Love, before he came to the Cavs, was an easy all-star. He was an elite player. Great player. And he came to the Cavs. His role diminishes. He starts to look like he doesn't know how to post up. Couldn't post up Durant in the finals. I remember that. Durant's skinny as hell. He's not strong, most people would say. And so I think that people need to understand that because Durant does not need to be a system, which is something I think should be valued more so than people give credit to because that's the reason Durant could go to the Warriors. If LeBron went to the Warriors, your boy Steph Curry, he's not the system anymore. He's not. LeBron's
not the same.
That's something that Durant that allows him to go join other players like Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, James Harden and Kyrie kind of remains to be seen.
So you admit it's Curry's system. It's Curry's team.
I
Well, yeah,
never
'cause,
said
they-
it
they-
wasn't his
they-
system.
they
I
established-
just said he wasn't the best player. I still agree it was his system and his team. I'm
Right.
not disagreeing.
Obviously, because they're a championship winning team. So,
Yeah.
of course, they already
Now,
established what the system was.
Here's
Okay.
the other thing I want to speak on, first of all, is that when the Warriors got Durant, they gave up a lot to get him. And everybody freaked out about that and immediately was saying, oh, they're not going to be great, blah, blah, blah. And then immediately changed to they're going to be great. I remember that time clear cut. But
I remember a lot of tweets. Congratulations to the 2016, 2017, 2018,
I
2019
remember that too.
championship Warriors.
I remember that too. But the first go around for both of them, they had bad teams. They had bad teams.
Right.
LeBron's was worse as he went on because his team was LeBron came to the league with an older team. Durant came in with super young. So like his team progressively got better. LeBron's just got worse over time. Like that the first go around, both teams were terrible. But Durant's team got better and better. Now I predicted him going to the Warriors before the 2016 season even happened. Like I thought he was going there even if they lost, or I'm sorry, even if they won. I just thought he was going there or the Spurs. So that made sense to me. But I like I said, I think the style of play doesn't get enough
Attention.
It's not valued enough because LeBron can't go to a team without becoming the system. This is why when LeBron goes to a team, everybody gets traded. Everybody's thrown out the window because he needs to be the system. I need shooters around me. Durant doesn't need that. And granted, that's a style of leadership.
I think Durant does need Durant. I think it was proven that Durant needed shooters because he couldn't do it with Westbrook and Ibaka and Thunder, and they're not shooters. But he could do it with Curry and
but
Clay.
He doesn't need
they're
to,
shooters.
No, that's such a.
And Harden and Kyrie are both shooters as well. Let that remind you.
I'm talking about spot up shooters, okay? Obviously, LeBron doesn't play with elite shooters. Dwayne Wade's not an elite shooter. Chris Bosh not an elite shooter. Anthony Davis not an elite shooter, although he's good. Kyrie Irving, yeah, he's an elite shooter. Kevin Love, yeah. I'm talking about spot up shooters, but Durant doesn't need to become the system. LeBron does. That affects teams when they don't know how to play with. We brought it up last week, Mohammed, with Marquise when we had our game. You know, where we played our travel ball season the whole year, and every play was designed for Marquise. And then the one half he doesn't show up.
Will.
Yeah.
Good thing the question is about who has better teammates, not about who affects the team
had
more.
more help, right? Who affects the team more? That's not a.
I'm just addressing what you said, Zach.
Yeah.
What do you mean addressing what I said?
I'm addressing what you said about them, like LeBron carrying the team and whatnot. And having
they didn't have good players on either side, and then when they both left those respective teams, with the help that they had, the results were.
And I'm saying that because LeBron becomes a system, when he leaves the team, they're terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Like he left Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh.
Mm-hmm. Regardless of that,
you're saying
forget about
Durant
that whole
left
argument.
Westbrook.
Forget about that whole argument. Durant joins the 73-9 Warriors. That's all you need to know.
That's true.
That's point in case right there.
No, sir. Mohammed, your final thoughts.
Well, to be honest, I think Durant has had better teammates, but that's just me waiting on what Brooklyn does this year and the years after that, or however long they have this core together. But just on name itself, I think Durant has had better teammates, just on paper. But I still think LeBron has had better role players, so I think it evens out. But then again, when you're talking about championship teams, I'd rather take Durant's teammates than LeBron's.
Yeah, well, I can agree with that he's had better. Like if you look at the roster, he's had better star power. I can agree with that. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Kyrie, and Harden, and that's strictly if you include this season, which is
that's what I'm saying. Just because of the Brooklyn Big Three. Okay, yeah. But if you want to take that out, then
if I don't include that, it remains to be seen because Kyrie Irving and James Harden. Kyrie Irving can just get hurt at any point in time.
I was going to bring up injuries because the Thunder could have went to more finals. Like I said, if those 2013, 14, and 15 seasons didn't have injuries to Durant or Westbrook, they could have done damage or more damage than they already did in the playoffs. So I think the 2 years that were close to making the finals, or one of them they did, they were pretty young, obviously, and they're facing a Heat team that just lost and got embarrassed the year before. So they're kind of more hungry.
Bro, all I want to say. Oh, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say, then 2016, obviously they blow the lead, obviously. But I think the years before that, the injuries kind of affected them, a lot, obviously. But yeah, that's all I was gonna say.
I do want to also say this. I want to also say this. I think best players unanimously across all teams, best players on good teams at least, are built around. So when you say Durant is in the system, I mean, he's the best player on that Thunder team, and they build around him. So
they didn't build around Durant,
right?
But they did not build around him. They built around Westbrook.
Okay,
they did.
Kind of got
they did
because they brought
shooters.
Though.
They honestly did.
Still the best player though.
He is the best player, but that's my point about his greatness. But I want to say this. All I gotta say is that when LeBron had a meltdown in 2011,
right,
they lost the finals. When Durant couldn't play in 2019, they lost the finals.
That's an argument for another day, but the Warriors would have won that series if they didn't play. They don't need Durant. They didn't need Durant. They didn't need Durant in the beginning.
So what you're saying is that if Clay played this year, they would be a finals team?
Obviously, yes.
Oh my God.
They'd be contending for the finals right now. They'd be a playoff, at least the 5 seed or 4 seed right now. If they
That's not contending for a finals. They have no chance against the Clippers, Lakers.
They have a chance.
Maybe the Nuggets.
They have a chance against.
No.
Come on. Please, next episode, release the papers on how much the Warriors pay for you, bro. Oh my gosh,
bro! Why can't this man advocate for the Bulls?
Like, I do advocate for the Bulls. Yeah. Let me just say this for all the Bulls.
How much do they pay for? How much do they pay you, bro?
I will say this for the Bulls. I will say this for just to
one time
double down on my Bulls team. I do think the Bulls 90s teams are going to beat anybody from any Warriors team, to be honest, because with Jordan it's going to be close, and if it's close, it's over with if you have Jordan on your team, bro, because he's going to take over the game more than Curry, more than Durant, more than
your
Draymond.
Boy Steph ain't scoring with Jordan on him and Pippen.
He not going.
They're not doing nothing. Rodman's going to lock down
the clutch. Down the clutch.
If they playing
in 90s rule.
Yes, that's what I'm going to say. It depends on what era they play in. The results are different.
If any game is close with the 90s Bulls, I'm taking the Bulls, to be honest. They have to get blown out. They have to get blown out if they're going to lose.
Yeah.
Because Jordan will take over in late in the fourth, and there's nothing he can do to stop him.
Yeah, so that is what it is, but I love that debate. We'll have more on that.
Solid.
It'll just keep coming. It's good. It's good content. But that's all we have time for tonight, guys. We ran way over time.
Yep.
Hopefully people stuck with us.
Shout out to all our TikTok followers. Shout out to all of our TikTok followers,
our
by the way.
TikTok account's growing like crazy.
It's blowing up right now.
We love it.
On Instagram and Twitter too.
Instagram, Twitter, Spotify, whatever you're looking at, bro. We love
Stay
it.
humble.
Growth it's real. It's real. We love it. Sorry we ran late tonight, but
thanks for listening.
Hopefully people stuck around. Yeah, thanks for listening. We had a great time, and you got to tune in next week for another episode.
Sam Darnold to the Bears, by the way.
All right, peace.
Yeah, that seems like a fitting way to end it. Peace.